At 3:12 a.m., the heart monitor attached to my premature daughter's incubator shrieked, piercing the silence of our home. Someone had severed its power, plunging her fragile lifeline into darkness. As I forced air into her tiny, failing lungs, I caught a glimpse of our HOA president's smug grin through the window. By morning, she had no clue she'd just tried to kill the child of a federal judge. That was her fatal misstep. Before I dive into this story, drop a comment below with where you're reading from. Like and subscribe for more gripping tales like this one. It was June 17th, 2024, in the upscale gated community of Pine Hollow, nestled in the rolling hills of Oregon. The alarm tore through our house like a banshee. Not the fire alarm, not the security system, but the heart monitor tethered to my 4-month-old daughter, Lily. That sound meant her delicate heart had stopped. I sprinted to the nursery, my bare feet skidding on polished oak. Lily lay still in her incubator, her skin ashen under the faint glow of a nightlight. The machine that had sustained her for months was dead. No hum, no warmth, no power. No, please no, I whispered, cradling her feather-light body. She was barely 5 pounds, born at 25 weeks after a pregnancy that unraveled in chaos. Her lungs were too weak, her heart too frail. Without the incubator's precise environment, she was slipping away. I pressed my lips to hers, breathing life into lungs no bigger than almonds. One breath, too, her chest twitching under my trembling hands. She wasn't breathing on her own. With one hand, I dialed 911. My baby's not breathing, I choked out. Her incubator's power is gone. She's premature. Hurry. The dispatcher's voice was steady. Ambulance ist en route. Keep breathing for her. Don't stop. I kept going, my breaths her only lifeline, while I stumbled through the house, checking outlets and breakers. Everything else worked: lights, fridge, TV. Just the nursery was dark, as if someone had targeted the one room, keeping Lily alive. Paramedics stormed in 8 minutes later. 8 agonizing minutes of me willing my daughter to survive. They took over, their hands steady with oxygen masks and tubes, working over her tiny frame as they rushed her to the ambulance. Will she make it? I asked, climbing in beside them. A paramedic, her eyes kind but guarded, said, "We're doing all we can." At the hospital, Lily was whisked into the NICU, a swarm of doctors and nurses hooking her to machines. I stood behind a glass wall, watching my daughter fight a battle she shouldn't have faced. Dr. Elena Torres, Lily's neonatologist, found me in the waiting room at dawn. Her expression was grim but not defeated. "She's stable, Claire. She's on a ventilator and responding to meds, but it was close. A few more minutes, and we'd have lost her. Will she be okay long-term?" I asked. Dr. Torres hesitated. Her brain went without oxygen for several minutes. "We won't know about permanent damage for weeks, maybe months. But she's here. That's what counts." I called my husband, Mark, from the hospital parking lot. He was stationed in Syria, fighting a war while I fought for our daughter at home. When he answered, my voice broke. "Lily almost died, Mark. Someone cut the power to her incubator." His voice hardened. "Just her room? That's not an accident. Get an electrician, Claire. Now." But I already suspected the truth. 4 months in Pine Hollow had shown me who ruled this neighborhood with an iron grip. Susan Hargrove, the HOA president. At 60, with sharp green eyes and a platinum bob, Susan was a tyrant disguised as a community leader. She'd held her position for a decade, enforcing rules with ruthless precision: fines for untrimmed hedges, citations for unapproved porch decor, penalties for cars left in driveways. But her vendetta against us was personal. We'd moved to Pine Hollow when I was 7 months pregnant, seeking a safe haven while Mark was deployed. As a federal judge, I wanted stability for our family. Susan opposed our application from the start, grilling us about Mark's military income and my demanding career. She claimed military families were unreliable and wouldn't uphold property values. When Lily was born early, requiring constant medical deliveries and ambulance visits, Susan's harassment intensified. She called the oxygen tanks in our window an eyesore, the delivery vans commercial nuisances. She even tried to fine us for excessive emergency activity. That morning, as I drove home from the hospital, the sun barely up, I saw Susan pruning her immaculate azaleas. Dressed in a tailored blazer at 6 a.m., she looked pristine, not like someone who'd been up all night. When she saw me, she smiled not with concern, but with a chilling satisfaction. I parked and crossed the street, my body humming with rage. "My daughter nearly died last night," I said. Susan didn't look up from her flowers. "Oh, how awful. Old houses, you know. Wiring can be so unpredictable." "It wasn't the wiring, Susan. Someone cut the power to her room." She met my eyes, her gaze icy and amused. "Now, why would anyone do that? That's attempted murder." The word hung between us, her tone almost daring me to prove it. "You're right," I said, my voice low. "And when I find who did it, they'll rot in federal prison." Her smile flickered just for a second. I wasn't just Claire Donovan, a grieving mother. I was Judge Claire Donovan, and I knew how to wield the law like a blade. An electrician confirmed my suspicions. The power line to Lily's room had been sliced with precision, a clean cut by someone who knew exactly what they were doing. I called the police, but Officer Greg Larson, a Pine Hollow lifer whose wife golfed with Susan, was dismissive. "Probably kids messing around," he said, scribbling half-hearted notes. Hard to prove intent without prints. Intent? Someone had targeted a dying infant's life support. I didn't need local cops. I had federal resources. As a judge, I accessed the neighborhood security footage within hours. At 1:47 a.m., a figure in black left Susan's house, carrying a small bag. They moved stealthily to our electrical box, worked for minutes, then vanished. By 2:10 a.m., Susan's door closed again. The footage wasn't crystal clear, but FBI software enhanced it, matching the figure's build and gait to Susan's. Her past sealed her fate. A retired electrician, she'd run a contracting firm for 25 years. She knew how to cut a single line without tripping the system. Digging deeper, I found she'd been investigated for harassment in 2 prior neighborhoods, driving out families with escalating sabotage. But she'd never targeted a judge's child before. While Lily fought in the NICU, her brain swollen from oxygen loss, I built my case. Mark flew home on emergency leave, his face crumpling at the sight of our daughter, tubes snaking from her tiny body. "Who did this?" he asked. "Susan Hargrove. I have proof." His fists clenched. "What's the plan?" "I'm going to bury her legally. She tried to murder our baby, and she'll pay for every second Lily suffered." I contacted federal prosecutor Lisa Nguyen, a trusted colleague. "Attempted murder of a judge's child is a federal crime," she said. "If we can prove she targeted you for your position, we'll hit her with terrorism charges." I had recordings of Susan railing against arrogant judges at HOA meetings. Combined with her electrical expertise and the footage, we had her. But I went further. I requested an FBI probe into Pine Hollow's HOA. Agents uncovered a reign of terror. Susan had orchestrated campaigns against families who didn't fit her vision: immigrants, minorities, anyone different. The Lopez family faced fines for their kids' noisy playtime, with Susan calling IC despite their citizenship. The Thompsons, an elderly black couple, had their flagpole vandalized after Susan deemed it political. The Patels endured health department complaints over their cooking spices. Susan's network neighbors like retired cop Larson and busybody Ellen Crane kept detailed logs, spying through windows, documenting violations. The FBI arrested Susan at dawn, her polished facade crumbling as agents cuffed her. "This is absurd," she shouted, spotting me across the street. "You tried to kill my daughter," I said, my voice cutting through the morning air. Neighbors gawked as she was led away. Her house yielded a chilling find. Files on every resident, photos snapped through curtains, and a journal detailing her vendettas. Her entry about us was venomous. Judge Donovan thinks her badge makes her untouchable. Her sickly baby burdens the community. Time to teach them they don't belong. The night before Lily's attack, she wrote, "Power issues in old homes are tragic. Some lessons are learned the hard way." At trial, Susan's high-priced lawyers painted her as a misguided perfectionist, but the evidence was ironclad. Her journal, the footage, her history of harassment, it all pointed to one truth. Susan Hargrove didn't just cut a wire. I testified, my voice steady. She tried to murder my 4-month-old to drive us out. She timed it to break us, knowing Lily would die without her incubator. The jury took 5 hours. Guilty on all counts: attempted murder, terrorism, hate crimes. Susan collapsed as the judge sentenced her to life without parole. You use your authority to terrorize families, he said. You try to kill an infant to enforce your prejudice. This court has no mercy for you. Lily survived, but the scars remain. At 3, she walks and talks, her empathy astonishing for her age. She comforts classmates with a wisdom beyond her years, as if her early trauma gifted her a rare understanding of pain. Pine Hollow transformed after Susan's arrest. The HOA was overhauled, gates replaced with inclusive gardens. Families returned, and new ones arrived, drawn to a community reborn. We built a garden in Lily's name, a vibrant symbol of survival, where she plays among flowers from every culture. Susan died in prison last year. Lily, now 5, doesn't know. She's too busy living laughing with her best friend, Sophia, whose family Susan once targeted, planning cookie bake-offs and dreaming up fairy tales. Every giggle feels like defiance against the woman who tried to silence her. Sometimes I relive that night, the terror of finding Lily lifeless. But then I see the girl she's become: kind, fierce, unstoppable, and I know hate lost. Love won. What do you think? Should HOAs have this much power over neighborhoods? Could Susan's actions ever be justified as protecting community standards? Drop your thoughts below, like, and subscribe for more stories that'll keep you on edge. Where are you reading from? Let's get this conversation going.